If you've ever wondered why truly wealthy people don't always drive the loudest cars, or wear the flashiest brands, or live like they're trying to prove something, it's not because they can't afford the toys. It's because they understand something most people learn too late. Toys are expensive. Assets are powerful, and the rich don't buy things. They buy systems. Quick note: this is commentary on wealth, behavior, and psychology for entertainment and education. Not financial advice. Let's define two words, the way wealthy people quietly define them. A toy is anything that consumes your money and your attention. It doesn't just cost you once. It keeps charging you maintenance, upgrades, insurance, storage, replacements, and time. And time. An asset, on the other hand, is anything that feeds you back. It either produces cash, grows in value, or protects your time and options. And here's the part people don't like hearing. Most people buy toys to feel rich. Rich people buy assets so they never have to feel anything about money again. But the real reason isn't math. It's darker than that, because toys don't just drain money. They drain control. There's a cost nobody posts. I call it the ownership tax. A toy isn't just a purchase. It's a subscription you didn't realize you signed up for. That car isn't just a car. It's repairs, registration, higher insurance, the wrong kind of attention, and the constant urge to upgrade. That boat isn't who's the boat? It's storage, maintenance, crew, fuel, and a calendar full of problems you didn't want. The rich are extremely aware of one brutal truth. Every toy you owns a piece of your time. And time is the one thing money can't replace once it's spent. But there's an even bigger trap. Toys create a new identity. An identity is expensive to maintain. Most people don't buy toys because they love the toy. They buy toys because they love what the toy says about them. A loud car says, "I made it." A designer logo says, "I belong." A flashy vacation says, "I'm winning." But the moment you buy identity, you inherit the pressure to perform it. Now you can't downgrade. You can't be normal. You can't disappear. And wealthy people know something that sounds cold, but it's true. The more visible you are, the easier you are to target. By friends who want favors, by strangers who want access, by people who want a piece of your life. So many rich people choose a quieter flex: privacy. Because privacy keeps you unbothered, and being unbothered is a form of power. So if toys are loud and risky, why do rich people ever buy them at all? They do, but they buy them in a way that most people don't understand. Here's the difference that changes everything. Most people buy toys with their paycheck. Rich people buy toys with their assets, meaning they prefer the toy to be paid for by something that keeps earning even while they sleep. That's why truly wealthy people don't ask, "Can I afford it?" They ask, "What is paying for it?" If nothing is paying for it, it's not a reward, it's a leash. And a lot of people don't realize this until their life becomes a cycle. Work harder, be toy, maintain toy, need more money, work harder. That's not luxury. That's a very expensive treadmill. Wealthy people prefer a different loop. Build or buy an asset. Let it grow. Who's set to return, then buy the toy. But there's a reason this feels unfair, because assets are boring. And boredom is something most people can't tolerate. Assets usually look boring from the outside. They look like paperwork, patience, delayed gratification, and silence. Toys look exciting. They look like proof. They look like a movie, and that's the trap. Because most people aren't addicted to spending. They're addicted to feeling respected, feeling admired, feeling like the main character. So they buy moments. But moments don't compound, assets do. The rich often choose a life that looks unimpressive early, so it can become unstoppable later. Now, this is where people argue, what about rich people with supercars and yachts? Yes. But here's the part nobody tells you. Some toys are actually assets wearing a costume. Some rich people do buy expensive things that look like toys. But there are two categories. First, toys that quietly hold or grow value. Collector items. Rare pieces. Things with scarcity. Sometimes it's art. Sometimes it's vintage cars. Sometimes it's property and locations people fight to live in. Not every expensive purchase is a mistake. The difference is whether the item has demand without you needing attention. Second, assets that look like toys. A private jet, for example, can be a toy, or it can be a time machine that compresses days into hours. The rich don't always buy the jet to flex. Sometimes they buy it to protect their schedule, their privacy, and their focus. Here's the dark truth. The wealthy don't worship luxury. They worship leverage. If the toy increases speed, reduces friction, protects privacy, or multiplies time, it stops being a toy. It becomes a tool. So what rule do wealthy people use to decide? There's a simple filter. And once you hear it, you'll see everything differently. Here's the filter. If it doesn't pay me by, it must protect my time or my peace. That's Italiano. Because rich people value three things more than looking rich: freedom, options, control. A toy that disrupts those is not a reward. It's a liability with good marketing. This is why some wealthy people look surprisingly plain. They're not broke. They're protected. Protected from lifestyle inflation. Protected from people. Protected from the pressure to perform. And protected from one of the most common traps: getting rich in numbers, but staying poor in behavior. So why do rich people buy assets instead of toys? Because toys impress strangers. Assets create escape routes. Toys make you look successful. Assets make you untouchable. And the richest people don't chase the feeling of being rich. They chase the reality of being free. If you want a scary thought, here it is. Some people buy toys to look wealthy. Other people buy assets to make sure they never have to explain themselves. That's quiet wealth. If you like content that breaks down wealth, status, and the psychology behind power, subscribe and comment. Machine Fest. I'll know you understood.